Hi, I wanted to make a video talking about Inner Urge by Joe Henderson. This is a really awesome composition from his 1966 album of the same name, and it's very complicated because it's got a really interweaving, quite complex melody, but also has these constant structure Lydian harmony sounds that just keep jumping around, all on top of the fact that it's a really fast tempo piece, so it can be a little bit like you're hanging onto the edge of your seat while you're soloing over it. And I wanted to talk about it because I think that this tune and a lot of tunes that have this chromatic non-functional harmony, or at least this non-functional harmony that moves around in a almost atonal way, generally they are great opportunities for looking at them and analyzing them and figuring out patterns that emerge through them so that you have a kind of skeleton key for more easily navigating the changes. And I really want to stress that it's not like we're going to try and hack it or simplify it or make it easy, because there's no point. It's not like you're trying to cheat. You know, it's not like Inner Urge is an exam that you need to solve. But I think that what can happen is when you're in the heat of the moment, when you're improvising, it can really help to have these little nuggets of that pop into your mind so that you're able to have this framework that's you're able to more easily call upon, rather than constantly thinking, okay, we've got E Lydian sound, I'll play a lick that's in E Lydian, and then, oh gosh, we've got D flat Lydian now. Just play the same lick in D flat Lydian, and so on. There are ways where if you start to think about upper structures and upper structure pentatonics especially, and as well as converting the modes from Lydian to some other modes, there's actually some really cool, consistent, easy to see patterns that I wanted to show you, and hopefully it'll make it a little bit more convenient for soloing over Inner Urge, and open up the way for you to think about other ideas like melodicism and phrasing and whatnot, rather than like necessarily just being like, oh, I have to nail the chords, nail the notes in these chord tones and in these modes. We'll start with the beginning because we have, even though it's very often talked about as being F sharp half diminished as the first chord, we hear in McCoy's comping that he's just playing this E sus sound, E, A, and B, and then the melody is adding the extra notes of F sharp and C, which is now, think about it, kind of sounding a lot like Havana with that big run. But yeah, we have this sound where the notes that are kind of being combined. So right, so those are the notes that are combining what McCoy is playing in the comping, the E sus, and then also the F sharp and the C natural. We didn't actually get a definition of what the 9 is, so it could be G sharp, which is often what people play to add some variety to it, or it could be G natural. You can treat this first chord as a strict G locrian, or you can also think of it as a locrian sharp 2, which is like an A melodic minor sound. Anyway, just thought I would point that out because the cool thing is the next chord, which we often analyze and say is F sharp, is F major 7 sharp 11. McCoy's chord voicing doesn't change. He's still playing these notes, which combined with the melody, we get F, pretty distinctly F major 7 sharp 11. And this is cool because from here it establishes what is going to be the consistent chord sound throughout the rest of the composition, which are the major 7 sharp 11 chords. After that, we move down to E flat major 7, and then D flat major 7. Then we have this big flurry, this big explosion of major 7 sounds where we go E major 7, D flat major 7, D major 7, B major 7, C major 7, A major 7, B flat major 7, G major 7, back to the top. And so, some cool ways to think about it. Like I said, I already mentioned that with this F sharp half diminished, if you want to add some variety, you don't need to think about it as a strict Locrian sound. You can actually sharp the 9, and get that sound, which is cool. Now from this next chord, from this F major 7 sharp 11, we're going to start looking at upper structure pentatonics. And, you know, of course, the main or the bass pentatonic that you could play over an F major 7 is F major pentatonic, which is pretty groovy, right? But it's hitting a whole lot of square notes and it's not really outlining the sound or the ideas. So to then move up a little bit, let's look at the next pentatonic. You could play an A minor pentatonic or a C major pentatonic. That's pretty cool. You're getting some more notes like the, you're getting the 5, 13, 7, 9, and 3. This is pretty cool, and I recommend this if you're just playing over a standard tonic major 7 chord. However, if we really want to highlight that sharp 11, then I recommend the chord that you're on, F major 7, go down a semitone and play that as a minor 7 chord, as a minor pentatonic scale. So from F major, we're going to play E minor pentatonic, or G major pentatonic, but we're thinking about it as E minor. And this is really cool. This is basically every note you could want to hear in it. We get the 7, the 9, the major 3rd, the sharp 11, and the 13. It's every awesome note. What more could you want? Perfect, perfectly hip. We've just outlined all of the sounds and the colors of that chord. We're going to continue this pattern where when we change down to the E flat, we're now going to follow the pattern. Down a semitone, minor pentatonic. So I'm thinking D minor pentatonic over that sound, and we're still getting all of the same really awesome notes. Cool, and then the last one, still thinking in this kind of first 2/3 of the tune, we go to that D flat major 7 and we're going to think C minor pentatonic. When we get into this really big flurry, I'm going to recommend 2 things. Again, just reminding what the chords are. What I'm going to recommend for this one is that every other chord, we're going to swap what mode we think it is. So there's a pattern that should be kind of apparent or jumping out to you all, which is that we start with this E major, and then we have a minor 3rd jump down to D flat or C sharp. Now, that minor 3rd interval should spark some ideas where that's actually the way that we would usually think of differences in major and minor, right? Like in this A minor pentatonic, it's an A minor pentatonic scale, or it's a C major, or it's a C major pentatonic scale. We use the interval of the minor 3rd to just kind of remind us of the idea of relative major and minor. So what I'm going to recommend is this. Instead of E major 7 sharp 11 going to D flat major 7 sharp 11, we're going to convert this E to its relative minor, which is C sharp or C sharp Dorian. And the really awesome thing with this is that now this root note stays the same for these 2 chords, and we get this very simple descending pattern. So again, after we've hit, we play that line again, and then we go into the last 3rd, E major. We're going to recontextualize it to be C sharp Dorian, and so it's going to be C sharp Dorian going to C sharp major 7. So it's just a C sharp minor, C sharp major. If we do the same thing, jumping back to how we normally think of the chords, next chord is D major 7, going to B major 7. Let's convert D to its relative minor, which is B. We can sense that there's a pattern going on here. So B Dorian to B Lydian. Do the same thing with the next one. C major 7 gets converted to A Dorian, and then there's A Lydian, G Dorian, G Lydian, and then back to the top. And now what's so cool about this is that you're able to look at it and just see it as these little chunks that are moving down. It's actually kind of reminding me of Jacob Mann's advice on how to play over giant steps, which is to convert the 5s to 2s. And so then instead of, you know, you just have, which is actually what the bass is doing anyway. But there's a similar idea with Inner Urge. To avoid these kind of lightning bolt bass movements, what we've done is now and that's so cool because it's actually, I find at least, it's a lot easier to think about it now when I've changed this E major 7 or this E Lydian sound to C sharp Dorian. I'm actually thinking about it, and I know it's counterintuitive, but I'm thinking about this as C sharp Dorian over E, which I know that just sounds like E Lydian with extra steps, but it helps me to think about different chord shapes. And then I'm going to just, you know, I'm already right here. I'm already in the C sharp D flat zone. I can then play a Lydian lick quite easily. Moving down, I'm going to B Dorian, B Lydian, A Dorian, A Lydian, G Dorian, G Lydian. Right? Cool. So I really recommend that, and I recommend giving that a go. So that E major 7 you're going to convert to C sharp Dorian. The D major 7 you're going to convert to B Dorian. The C major 7 you're going to convert to A Dorian, and the B flat major 7 you're going to convert to G Dorian. And one more cool thing, so just for to make the pattern even more obvious, let's jump back to that original idea where I said we were exploring in the first 2/3 of the tune, where we had the major 7 sharp 11 sound. To get an upper structure pentatonic, we're going to go down a semitone and play a minor pentatonic. We're going to think about it like this. We're going to do a full-on rearrangement of the tune, but just to make it kind of hilarious how consistent this chromatic pattern can appear. Now in the last third, this big flurry, we've got E major, E Lydian. We know that we're going to convert that to C sharp Dorian, and we're going to think of the C sharp minor pentatonic. Now, and I know that's kind of square, but just indulge me for a second. Now, D major 7 sharp 11. Let's follow that pattern from the first part of the tune, down a semitone, minor pentatonic. Right? So we've had C sharp, next one. What was D major 7? We're converting to B minor pentatonic. B major or B Lydian, follow the pattern, down a semitone. And so what we actually end up with is that you can play that whole last third of the tune with just these descending chromatic pentatonic scales. So and then And now, of course, it's kind of square, right? Like, you're not going to play. Right, I mean, maybe you could do that if you want, but just to make it clear that if you are open to thinking about like rearranging the chords, thinking about upper structures, converting the chords to different modes, like I said, you're able to find these really cool consistent patterns. And so give that a go. Try and see if you can find some non-functional harmony, convert it, and find some more obvious patterns that make it easier to play over. And yeah, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.